Hey steampunks, it's Miss Nora. Today I'm going to teach you how to make your own face mask. Since right now in New York State you're supposed to be wearing one whenever you leave the house if you can't make sure that you're 6 feet away from any other person. So basically you should at least have one in your pocket. So I thought it'd be nice if I could help you make one out of materials you probably already have at home. Almost everybody has a t-shirt either they outgrew, they don't like, or, whatever reason, find an old t-shirt. Make sure it's clean because you're going to be making the face mask out of the sleeve and you don't want it to smell like body odor. So make sure it's a clean t-shirt that you don't like or that you outgrew. I'm going to show you the finished product first so you know what they look like. Do you want to pan in on this, Laszlo? So this is what the face mask looks like when you're all done. You can see that the rough edge is at the bottom and the hemmed edge is at the top. I added a few things that are not necessary, but you can if you want to. I added the stitching here and the stitching here so that it would kind of hold the straps. And I added stitching up here just to hold the pieces together so they didn't separate because I thought that might be annoying. Some people really like this kind of mask because it doesn't go around your ears, because a lot of people find that really irritating. I know my son Karsten can't stand the kind of masks that go behind your ears, so he really appreciates this one. It ties behind like the back of your neck, and it ties again up top on your head, so it doesn't anchor behind the ears. So here's the first thing we got to do. And this might be the most challenging part for you, especially if you have scissors that are like not that great. But we're going to cut off the sleeves. So cut off the sleeves. Sorry, Laszlo, I was trying to make it easier, but I think I was annoying. Try to cut off the sleeves right in front of the hem, or the seam rather. So it's like this, because otherwise you're like making it harder on yourself if you're trying to cut it right on where the sewing is. So do your best. Your best is fine. It does not have to be perfect. And hopefully you can find a pair of scissors so this doesn't make it like super arduous to cut through the fabric. I know I get frustrated if I have scissors that are not sharp enough. So there's one. Let's work on number 2. So here's a question. What could you guys do with the rest of the t-shirt? I've been kind of thinking about that myself. I mean, if you like the t-shirt, you could use the body of it to make like a pillow or something. I wonder if you could make like a reusable bag or something like that. If you guys have any ideas, please send me an email, youth@lodilibrary.net. And I'd love to see pictures of you guys in your masks too. That would be super cute. Okay, we're almost through. And here we are. So here's the rest of the t-shirt. I guess if you wear sleeveless t-shirts, you could conceivably still wear it. Here's the 2 pieces. What we're gonna do is straighten them out so that the under part of the sleeve is on top. That is the part that's going to be touching your face. We're going to do that to the other one. We're going to make a mask that has 2 layers. You can make it with just 1 layer. And it might be handy even to have like one of each, depending upon what you're doing. I know if you're like exercising or whatever, like 1 ply is probably enough, or you're going to feel kind of suffocated. But maybe in an environment like a grocery store or somewhere where there's a lot of people, like you might feel more comfortable with 2 ply. So I would just play it by ear. You can do both. Now what we're going to do for a 2 ply is we're going to put 1 sleeve inside the other. And this is why I added the stitches on the top to kind of like keep the pieces together a little bit, so like I wasn't driving me crazy. So here we have 2-ply. And remember too, when you look at this version, that you keep the hemmed part over your nose and the loose part on your chin. And this is because you want a little bit more, you want it closer to your face up here to block anything. And the hemming will keep that a little tighter. Now the string, where did that come from? Well, the string comes from the bottom of the t-shirt. The bottom already has a little hem on it, so it's like really strong. This has been through the wash and it hasn't like frayed or anything, so I feel like that's a pretty good option. Of course, if you have some other kind of ribbon or elastic that you want to use, you can use that too. So again, get out your scissors. I hope they're sharp. So you have the hem of your t-shirt. Now what you want to have is these are two, so that it's adjustable. So these are two different pieces of fabric. So we're going to cut this in half. So that you have two. And then what you do is you just open this up, just like you're going to put your arm in, like it's a sleeve. And you're going to string one through this side. And one through this side. So basically it goes on like this. What I like to do is tie the bottom, and then you only have one tie to work on after you put it on. So you would put this over your head. Whoops, this came out of the side. And scrunch it out however you want. And then the other gets tied around the back of your head. I'll turn around, Blaslow, so that you can see.
Okay.
I have a ponytail, so it's like a little weird. And then you can scrunch this down. As long as it covers your nose and your mouth, you're cool. What I would love to see is for you guys to decorate these with like fangs or like a ridiculous like mouth. Would be very funny. Wouldn't that be funny, Laszlo?
Indeed.
Or like a huge mustache.
Right.
And here's how it's fastened at the top. And there you go. No sewing required. No sewing, and hopefully no needing to even buy anything. And then you got your mask. So I was trying to think, what else do I want to talk about today while we're making masks? Because we we should do something else. So what do masks remind me of? Not communicable diseases, not COVID-19, not pandemics. What masks remind me of are raccoons. So I kind of consider them like the Patronus animal of the pandemic, because they like wash their little paws and they wear a little mask. So I'm going to tell you some really cool raccoon facts. We're going to look at some photos, and we're even going to watch a little video. Most of these facts I got from mentalfloss.com, which is a really good website. It's kind of annoying because it has a lot of pop-ups. Of course, ask your parents before you explore Mental Floss, but they have a lot of really cool articles. And this was like the top 10 raccoon facts. So I used that, and I added a little bit from other sources. So the first thing is the name Raccoon. Where does it come from? I'm going to show you a picture. Oh my gosh, these are so cute. You're going to die. Get ready, Laszlo.
Right.
I'm such a cute little raccoon. Look, he's doing jazz hands. Isn't that cute? So the name raccoon means hands. They are extremely dexterous with their hands. And it's from the Native American word Rufkin, where people get raccoon. It's a Powhatan word that means animal that scratches with their hands. They have like 5 long fingers with long nails, but no thumbs. To manipulate objects, they use both forepaws that work together, so they don't require thumbs to be they can do a lot of things with those hands. Pretty amazing. Number 2, did you know that there are many varieties of raccoons? Hold on. I have a picture of, I think this raccoon is from Central America. He's a cutie. Get ready, Les. There are many varieties of raccoons. There's 6 species native to North, South, and Central America. They're relatives of the kinkajous, the coatis, and the olingos. And I'm kind of dying to Google those 3 things because that's interesting, right? Okay. What? Olingo. What's an olingo? I'll find a good image for you. Ooh. He has kind of like... Okay. He's arboreal, obviously. He's up in the tree. He has big ol' eyes. And in the other pictures, it shows like a long tail. He kind of reminds me of like a lemur or something. Let's see, what's a coati? I think coatis have those... Don't they have like striped tails? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's a coati. So he has the striped tail. He has like the longer face. Again, he's climbing around. So these are relatives of raccoons. They're not raccoons. I just thought they were pretty cool. All right, number 3. Here's his sweet little face. So, masks. Why does a raccoon have a mask? The black fur works like the black marks that that football players put underneath their eyes, or like football players or athletes. You've probably seen that. They put that dark color under there so that it absorbs the incoming light and reduces glare for their vision. But also I learned that it also works with night vision. I guess it reduces the peripheral light at night, and it makes the night vision better for raccoons because they're very active at night. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, it helps either way. Okay, fact number 4. So, did you know that there was a pet raccoon in the White House? During the 1920s, Calvin Coolidge had a raccoon named Rebecca in the White House. And believe it or not, how they got Rebecca is that they rescued Rebecca from where? From Thanksgiving dinner, because many people during that time ate raccoon meat for dinner, which I didn't know either. So Rebecca wore an engraved collar and took walks around the White House property with the president and participated in like the children's activities. So I thought that was pretty cute. Very tame raccoon, obviously. Don't try that at home. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. What is fact 5? Ooh. Here's another photo. Here you really see his face. See his little teeth in this picture. So, in other countries, raccoons are seen as an invasive species. Do you guys know what that means? That is when a kind of animal comes and lives in an area where it's not native to. It doesn't belong there. And a lot of times it like upsets the ecological balance of that place. So raccoons were exported to Europe for fur farms, and some of them escaped, probably because they know how to use those hands and they're really smart. So they escaped from the fur farms and established a population in the wild, and they were successful. They're extremely adaptable. Also in Japan, I thought this was really cool in the 1970s, or maybe not cool, but interesting. There was a really popular cartoon called Raccoon, and all the kids were crazy about raccoons. So in Japan, they kept on importing them as pets, but they would get, raccoons get pretty big and pretty, not aggressive, but I don't know. They have like long claws and stuff like that. And people started like getting rid of them in the woods. And eventually they established their own, population in the woods of Japan. And now they're all over Japan. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So like I said, they're very adaptable and they're very numerous. There are a lot of raccoons and they can live in a lot of different areas. Here's a little picture of a little raccoon group. Here's 3 of them. Despite the destruction of their natural habitat, they're extremely adaptable and will eat birds, insects, fruits, nuts, and seeds in the forest, or they'll scavenge people's pet foods and garbages near people in like urban or suburban areas. They can survive either place. They can nest in the woods to go to bed, or they can nest in an abandoned building. They can go either way. And this sort of is an extension, this next fact. Oh, here's a city raccoon. You can see the big buildings in the background. He's up in a tree. Studies have shown that city raccoons are more intelligent in problem solving. I thought that's kind of interesting because they get so much practice avoiding danger and overcoming human obstacles. They've even been shown to avoid busy intersections. They've been known to open up really difficult containers of garbage and food. So I guess in the city they get a little more of that like critical thinking going on, and they're actually, when they have done animal tests, they found that they're actually more intelligent. Number 8. tree. So initially, raccoons were expected to be lab animals that they were going to do experiments on because raccoons are so curious and intelligent. So they're like really perfect for psychological studies. But unfortunately, they found the raccoons were very unruly and they were hard to breed and they were prone to escaping. So instead of raccoons becoming the predominant lab animal, they were replaced by rats, which were a lot easier. It's just kind of interesting that that was thought of at one time. So the next one is actually a little video. So this video is called Raccoon Steals Cat's Food. And let me just explain the fact that goes along with this is that raccoons they can see with their hands. They're night animals and they rely on their sense of touch to navigate. They do something called dowsing. And what that is they wet their paws to stimulate the nerve endings, and that enables them to be more sensitive and to use their sense of touch even more, accurately. It's kind of interesting because I've heard people say that raccoons wash their hands. And they're not really washing, they're dowsing. So here's a little video for you guys. He's stealing cat food. It's so funny that cats are like not that undone. See him wets his hands.
He moves kind of human-like.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of creepy.
Look at those fingers move though, and how he brings his hands together. It makes me laugh that these cats really are not backing off that much. Oh, there he goes. So that's the raccoon stealing the cat's food. That is pretty cute. Okay, so it is snowing like crazy here. Isn't that wild? Here's the next picture. What's he doing? He's in the garbage. So raccoons are resourceful problem solvers. In the early 1900s, they did some experiments with raccoons, like intelligence experiments, and it showed that raccoons could crack locks, like figure out how locks worked, of all kinds. Latches, levers, bolts, buttons, hooks, all kinds of latches they figured out in order to get to food. 11 out of 13 locks were cracked, and sometimes they had to go through multiple locks to get to the food, and they could still figure it out. That's pretty smart. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty amazing that they can get the tops of garbage cans off to get into the garbage, but I mean, this is when the garbage is locked down, they can still get to it. So that is all the raccoon facts I have for you. So wear your mask, pretend you're a raccoon, wash your hands, do a little dowsing. I'll see you guys next time for STEAM. I hope you're doing well. I'm thinking of you. Send me an email, youth@lodilibrary.net. See you next week.